The other lodgers. In order to catch that train, Colonel Levering began, his voice laced with a hint of lingering unease as he recounted his experience. You'll have to spend almost the whole night in Atlanta. It's a decent city, but I strongly advise you to avoid the Breathitt House, one of the main hotels. It's a rickety old wooden building in dire need of repairs. The walls are riddled with holes. You could throw a cat through them. The rooms have no locks, no furniture, just a single chair and a bare bedstead, a mattress and nothing more. Even that meager comfort isn't guaranteed. You might find yourself crammed in with a crowd of others. Sir, it's an abominable place. The night I spent there was a night of pure discomfort. I arrived late, exhausted from 2 days and a night of grueling train travel, still recovering from a gunshot wound to the head sustained in a brawl. Rather than hunt for a better place, I simply collapsed onto the mattress, fully clothed, and drifted off to sleep. I awoke sometime around dawn. The moon was high in the sky, illuminating the room with a soft, bluish light that cast a spooky, almost ethereal glow, though I'm sure it was nothing extraordinary. Moonlight always has a certain otherworldly quality if you pay attention to it. Imagine my surprise and my indignation when I saw the floor covered with at least a dozen other lodgers. I sat up, my voice rising in anger, cursing the management of this unthinkable hotel. I was about to leap out of bed and confront the night clerk, the apologetic fellow with the tallow candle, when something about the situation paralyzed me. I suppose, as a writer might say, I was frozen with terror, because those men were undeniably dead. They lay on their backs, arranged in neat rows along 3 sides of the room, their feet against the walls. My bed and the chair stood against the far wall, furthest from the door. Their faces were covered, but beneath the white cloths, the profiles of the 2 bodies in the patch of moonlight near the window were starkly visible, the sharp angles of their noses and chins clearly defined. I thought it must be a nightmare and tried to scream, like you do in a bad dream, but no sound came out. Finally, with a surge of desperation, I swung my feet over the edge of the bed, pushing myself up. I walked between the 2 rows of covered faces, past the 2 bodies nearest the door, and escaped from that infernal place, running towards the office. The night clerk sat behind the desk in the dim light of another tallow candle, just sitting, staring. He didn't move, not even as I burst into the room, though I must have looked like a corpse myself. It was then that I truly noticed him. He was a small, pale man, with the most lifeless, blank white eyes I'd ever seen. His face was devoid of expression, as lifeless as the back of my hand. His clothes were a dingy gray. "Damn you!" I yelled, my voice shaking despite my rage. "What do you mean by this?" I was trembling like a leaf, and my voice sounded unfamiliar, even to me. The night clerk rose, bowed apologetically, and then he was gone. At that moment, I felt a hand on my shoulder, coming from behind. Can you imagine that? Terrified, I spun around and there stood a portly, kind-faced gentleman. "What's the matter, my friend?" he asked. I quickly explained everything that had happened, but as I spoke, his face paled. "Are you telling the truth?" he asked, his voice laced with disbelief. My anger had replaced my terror, and I said, "If you dare to doubt me, I'll beat the living daylights out of you." No, he replied. "Don't do that. Just sit down and let me tell you something. This isn't a hotel anymore. It used to be, but then it became a hospital. Now it's empty, waiting for a new tenant. The room you mentioned was the morgue, always full of the dead. That man you called the night clerk, he used to be the undertaker, but later he registered the patients as they were brought in. I don't understand why he's here. He's been dead for weeks." "And who are you?" I blurted out, bewildered. "Oh, I take care of the property," he said, lifting the flickering candle from the desk. "I happened to be passing by and saw the light in here, so I came in to see what was going on. Let's go take a look in that room," he suggested, his voice calm. "I'd rather see you in hell first," I said, bolting out the door and into the street. "Sir, the Breathitt House in Atlanta is a truly awful place. Don't you ever stay there?" "Good God, no. Your story certainly doesn't sound inviting. By the way, Colonel, when did all this happen?" "In September 1864, shortly after the siege." The Colonel's story, a chilling testament to the strange and unpredictable nature of reality, left his listener with a sense of unease, a lingering suspicion that the world, even in the seemingly ordinary, held a shadowy undercurrent of the uncanny. The end. If you liked the story, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Was there anything that surprised you? Who's your favorite character in the story? I can't wait to hear your thoughts.